Good morning, everybody. So we have a few agency presentations this morning. I'm just going to call on the first one. Maria with Arizona, you ready to go?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Burton-Sunder. I'm with the Arizona Department of Transportation, and I'm with the Pavement Management section. Normally, you might see Kevin Robertson or Mathis Mion in these meetings, but they couldn't make it today, so I will try my best to report on our agency. A little background on our state. We have one pavement management section for the entire state of Arizona. We have 7 districts for the construction and maintenance purposes. And if you're thinking about what kind of climate we have over there, I guess it's similar to New Mexico over here. In the north, we have to deal with the cold, we have to deal with the freeze-thaw, the freezing index, and in the south, we have to deal with the high temperatures and trying to design pavements for that. It's the desert down there. Every year, we have our pavement condition survey, out of which we collect about 13,000 miles in each direction. I couldn't figure out how many lane miles that is, but that's how much we collect per direction, out of which about 17% is interstate, 28% is non-interstate NHS, and about 55% is non-NHS. Out of this condition survey, we have majority of the pavement is 95% asphalt in Arizona, and we got a little bit of concrete, 2%, and 3% of concrete with the little friction course layer on top. And those concrete areas are going to be concentrated mainly in our major city, the Phoenix area. When we commit our projects, we are committing it in a 5-year program, a 5-year transportation facilities construction program. Our current program is out at year 2023 to 2027. We program projects for the first 3 years, and then the last 2 years we are just have some reserved amounts. It's too early to actually commit any projects at that time. We are committing projects for pavement rehabilitation and preservation projects in that same 5-year program. When we fund these pavement preservation projects, we have our major pavement preservation program, out of which there are 2 sub-programs, the heavier rehabilitation, that is sub-program 111, and then our minor, lighter surface treatments, that is the program's sub-program 112. The rehabilitation, we are working with 95 to 170 million per year. That is going to produce 15 to 35 projects, and then our lighter surface treatments preservation program is 16 million per year. That is about 10 to 15 projects. And then you might be looking at this chart and saying, oh, that doesn't really add up. That's because we have funding from other sources. The other sources, in recent years, we had our Arizona State Legislature designate 36.1 million just for preservation projects alone, so we get that extra money every year. That is called our SLI State Line Item Program. And then for FY22, that's what this chart is showing, that is all the funding that we had for that year. We had some funding from the state for life extension program, which I will be presenting later in this conference. That was just approved from the approved by the FHWA. And then we also had some COVID relief funds, coronavirus response and relief funds as well last year, FY22. When we schedule our pavement preservation projects, we are having the different work type categories. So for Arizona, we have our rehabilitation, which is our major AC overlays, our mill and replace of existing pavement. These are images of some projects how they looked right before we scheduled for those designated work types. We have our preservation, our lighter treatments. That is going to include our fog seals, cape seal, chip seal, crack seal, grinding millings, spot repairs, friction course overlays, including the milling. And then on concrete, we've got microsurfacing, cross-stitching, microsurfacing, and then on concrete it is cross-stitching, dowel bar retrofits, diamond grinding, and then we also have slurry seal and thin bond overlay within this preservation work type. We have other preservation for the state line item. We have the larger surface seal and the crack fill projects. And this program is maintained by our state maintenance engineer, and we have to collaborate with our district offices to get these treatments out. And then our new life extension program, that is what is filling the gap in between the lighter treatments and the heavier rehab treatments. These are the treatments that are in between that severity level of distresses. And these are going to be the cape seals and thin bonded overlays we're working with. And when you're thinking about categorizing all of these types of work types, it can get a little bit confusing. People tend to overlap them with different categories, and so we do have to work with the districts to communicate better on these preservation treatments, how we're naming them, and when we're doing them, because you've got multiple people that are trying to plan similar treatments on the same section of road. And so there's some continuous improvement there. And especially for the expenditure tracking, I did help work on the consistency report this year, and that was a little confusing because people were calling it preservation when it should have been rehab and things like that. I'm sure the other agencies have that issue as well. So, in our pavement management section, some updates. Our annual pavement condition survey, over the past 5 years, we were collecting it from the same vendor. And then now this year, we have changed vendors. And so we are going to be expecting some differences, probably in the cracking in particular, like the example in the image there. Somebody might say that's just a bunch of transverse and longitudinal. And then somebody else might say, well, that's just alligator. And so we might expect some differences there. Our pavement management system, we've got some deterioration models that we're planning to update in FY23. We've got a lot of data that has come in since we last updated that, plus the new vendor now collecting the data. And then also our decision tree, the treatments in there, we're going to be working on updating those. We haven't updated them yet because it involves like updating those trigger expressions, and then there's some other items within the program that are interconnected with that we got to make sure we update. And so for now, when we have a new treatment, we just kind of pick one of the treatments that are similar enough in there and kind of to simulate that. But we are definitely planning on updating that. And then there's some research that has started in our state that we're looking at the preservation treatments and how they deteriorate and what kind of benefits we're getting out of those. We've established some monitoring sites already for that. And I just wanted to end the presentation by just talking about extreme weather, because that seems to be a topic that everybody likes to talk about right now, and that word resilience is popular right now. And so you don't think of really much extreme weather in Arizona, but we do get it. We get repeated heavy storm events, erosion, slope failures, landslides. With that storm, we get some high water levels and storm water runoffs, and we do have some resilience projects for repairing the pavement that resulted in these extreme weather, drainage improvements, slope stabilization, and trying to mitigate those rocks from falling down. We also have been seeing higher temperatures and drier summers, and so that's resulting in all these wildfires. And so whenever you have a wildfire, then you have that resulting burn scar that you don't have vegetation there anymore, and so we get this flooding going on when it rains there, and so roads are getting washed out. We have to worry about those sorts of things in Arizona. And so thinking about all this extreme weather, you had to think about, well, what about the treatment? That's what this conference is about the preservation treatments. So maybe we have to think about what future treatments are they going to have to change. And so there is a study that is starting up where they're looking at climate modeling and the performance of the pavement in Arizona, for example, the effect of higher temperatures. And then I just wanted to end by showing some pictures of different pavements throughout the state of Arizona. And thank you for listening to my agency report. And here's my email if I'm not able to answer your question right now. Any questions? Thank you. Yeah.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.